The red dust swirled around Jin-Ho's boots as he walked across the dig site. The planet had been dead for millions of years, but something was buried deep under the ground. His scanner beeped quietly as he pointed it down into the hole his team had been digging for 3 weeks. "Jin-Ho, you need to see this," called Dr. Sungmin from the edge of the pit. The older scientist was holding his tablet, frowning at the readings. "These numbers don't make sense." Jin-Ho climbed down the metal ladder into the excavation. The hole was now 40 meters deep and getting deeper every day. At the bottom, something dark and smooth caught the artificial lights they had set up. It looked like metal, but unlike any metal he had ever seen. "What's wrong with the readings?" Jin-Ho asked, checking his own scanner. "Look at this." Sungmin showed him the tablet screen. "My equipment says there's nothing down here, just empty. Space. But yours shows detailed information about some kind of structure." That was strange. Sungmin's scanner was much more advanced than Jin-Ho's simple device. It should have been giving better readings, not worse ones. Jin-Ho pointed his scanner at the exposed metal surface and watched the display fill with data. "According to this, it's a ship," he said. "A really big ship, maybe 200 meters long." Commander Kextar appeared at the top of the pit. The tall alien's blue skin gleamed in the sunlight as he looked down at them. "Have you found something useful, humans?" Jin-Ho didn't like the way Kextar said humans like it was a dirty word. The alien commander was supposed to be working with them, but he acted like he was doing them a favor by being here. "We think it's a spacecraft," Sungmin called up. "Very old, very large." 2 more aliens joined Kextar at the edge. Dr. Zilnara was an insect-like scientist with 6 arms and compound eyes that reflected light like jewels. Engineer Vordak looked like a walking crystal, his transparent body pulsing with colored lights that meant different things in his language. "How old?" Dr. Zilnara asked, her voice making clicking sounds even through the translator. Jin-Ho checked his scanner again. "The readings say, this can't be right. They say millions of years." "Impossible," Kextar snorted. "No technology survives that long." "Tell that to the ship," Jin-Ho muttered. They spent the rest of the day carefully exposing more of the hull. The metal was perfect, without a single scratch or mark of age. It looked like someone had built it yesterday and buried it as a joke. But Jin-Ho's scanner insisted it was ancient beyond belief. As the sun set, the team gathered around their equipment to compare notes. The alien scientists were frustrated because their advanced tools kept giving them useless readings. Jin-Ho's simple human scanner worked perfectly, giving detailed information about the buried craft. "There's something else," Sungmin said quietly. "I've been monitoring the power readings all day. This ship still has power." After millions of years, Dr. Zilnara's compound eyes focused on him with laser intensity. "That's not possible." "Maybe." "Not possible, but definitely happening," Jin-Ho said. He had been watching the energy readings, too. Deep inside the ship, something was still running. Engineer Vordak's crystal body flashed with rapid patterns of light. His translator turned the lights into words. "If this ship has survived so long with active power systems, the technology involved is beyond our understanding." "Which is exactly why we need to be careful," Commander Kextar said. "Unknown technology. Could be dangerous." That night, Jin-Ho couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the ship buried beneath their camp. Something about it felt familiar, though he couldn't say why. He had never seen anything like it before, but looking at it felt like coming home after a long trip. He got up and walked to the edge of the excavation. The work lights were still on, casting strange shadows across the exposed hull. As he watched, he thought he saw something flicker across the metal surface, like writing, but too quick to read. Jin-Ho climbed down into the pit and approached the hull. Up close, the metal was warm to the touch, even though the night air was cold. He placed his hand flat against the surface and felt a slight vibration, like a heartbeat. Suddenly, symbols appeared under his palm. They glowed with soft blue light, spreading across the hull in flowing patterns. Jin-Ho stepped back in surprise, but the symbols kept appearing, covering more and more of the ship's surface. "Sung-min," he called, "you need to see this." Within minutes, the entire team was gathered around the excavation, staring at the glowing symbols. The writing covered the entire visible hull, pulsing gently like a living thing. "What does it say?" Dr. Zilnara asked, running every scanner she had over the symbols. Jin-Ho stared at the writing. It looked almost familiar, like a language he had learned as a child, but forgotten as an adult. I think I can read some of it." "Don't be ridiculous," Kextar said. "This writing is millions of years old." "How could you possibly—" "It's Korean," Jin-Ho interrupted. "Old Korean, but definitely Korean. This part here says, 'Welcome,' and this section talks about waiting and sleeping and coming home." The aliens exchanged glances. Dr. Zilnara's mandibles clicked rapidly, which Jin-Ho had learned meant she was excited or nervous. "Human writing on a ship millions of years old," she said. "This changes everything we know about galactic history." "Maybe the writing appeared because Jin-Ho touched it," Sung-min suggested. "Maybe it's reacting to human contact." As if responding to his words, a new section of symbols appeared near what looked like it might be a doorway. These glowed brighter than the others, pulsing urgently. Jin-Ho approached the new writing and felt his breath catch. The symbols were larger, clearer, and he could read them easily. "What does it say?" Vordak asked, his crystal body flashing with curiosity. Jin-Ho looked at his companions, alien and human alike, and spoke the words that had been waiting millions of years to be read. "It says, 'The children have finally come home. Welcome back to your inheritance. Enter freely and remember who you truly are.'" The moment he finished speaking, a section of the hull began to change. What had seemed like solid metal became transparent, then dissolved entirely, revealing a corridor that glowed with warm, inviting light. The ship was open. After millions of years, it was ready for visitors, but it was clear that it had only opened for one species. It had opened for humans. Dr. Hyojin stepped off the transport ship and immediately saw the crowd gathered around the excavation site. As a language expert, she had been called in to help translate the symbols that had appeared on the ancient craft. But seeing the glowing writing covering the hull made her forget everything else. "It's beautiful," she whispered, staring at the flowing characters that pulsed with gentle blue light. Jin-Ho met her at the edge of the pit. "Hyojin, thank goodness you're here. We need someone who really understands ancient languages. Have you been inside yet?" she asked, looking at the open doorway that revealed a corridor glowing with warm light. "Commander Kextar won't let anyone enter until more security arrives. But Hyojin, I can read the writing. It's definitely Korean, but older than anything I've ever seen." Hyojin activated her translation equipment and began scanning the symbols. Her devices had been designed to handle thousands of different languages, but they were giving her strange readings. "That's odd," she said, checking the display. "My computer says this is Korean, but also says it's impossible. The linguistic patterns are too ancient to exist." Dr. Sung-min joined them, carrying a tablet full of measurements. "We've found 3 more ships like this one. They appeared overnight on different planets. Each one has writing in a different Earth language." "Earth languages?" Hyojin looked surprised. "Which ones?" "Chinese, Sanskrit, and Egyptian hieroglyphs. All very old versions, just like this Korean writing." Commander Kextar approached the group, his blue skin darker than usual, which meant he was angry. "Dr. Kim, I need you to translate these symbols immediately. The Galactic Council is demanding answers." Hyojin looked at the alien commander with dislike. "Science doesn't work. On demand, Commander. Translation takes time. Time we don't have. These ships represent unknown technology that could threaten galactic security. Or they could represent the greatest archaeological discovery in history," Jin-Ho said. "Why does everything have to be about threats?" Dr. Zilnara clicked her mandibles. as she approached with Engineer Vordak. Because powerful technology in the wrong hands can destroy civilizations. We've seen it happen before. Hyejin began working on the translation, taking photographs of different sections of writing. As she studied the symbols, something strange happened. The writing began to make sense in a way that went beyond normal translation. It was as if the language was waking up in her mind. "This section talks about a great journey," she said, pointing to symbols near the ship's nose. "Something about seeds being planted far from home. And this part mentions a plague that destroyed everything." Plague? Vordak's crystal body flashed with alarm. "What kind of plague?" "It's not clear, but it talks about minds being attacked, intelligence being destroyed. The writing says that only the youngest and least developed minds survived." Jinho felt a chill. Youngest minds? According to this, an ancient civilization sent their children away to keep them safe from some kind of disease that killed smart people. Hyejin paused, staring at the symbols. The children were supposed to wait on a distant world until it was safe to come home. "Which world?" Sungmin asked. Hyejin translated more symbols, her hands shaking slightly as she worked. "A small planet, orbiting a yellow star. A world covered mostly in water. They called it Sol 3. "That's Earth," Jinho said quietly. "They're talking about Earth." Commander Kextar stepped closer, his expression dangerous. "Are you suggesting that humans are descendants of this ancient civilization?" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm translating what the writing says." Hyejin's voice was steady, but Jinho could see she was scared. "According to these symbols, humans were supposed to maintain their technology and wait for a signal to return to space. But something went wrong." "What went wrong?" Dr. Zilnara asked. "The children forgot. They were so afraid of the plague that they threw away their technology and decided to live as simple creatures. Generations passed, and they forgot they had ever been anything else." The group stood in silence, staring at the ancient ship that had waited millions of years for humans to find it. Finally, Vordak spoke, his lights pulsing slowly. "If this is true, then humans are not a young species at all. They are the oldest species in the galaxy." "Impossible," Kextar said flatly. "Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. They're barely civilized." "Maybe we're more civilized than you think," Jinho said, anger creeping into his voice. That night, while the aliens argued about what to do, Hyejin continued working on the translation. The more she read, the more the ancient language felt natural to her. It was as if something in her mind was remembering how to understand it. She found Jinho sitting near the ship, staring at the glowing symbols. "Can't sleep either?" "Every time I look at this ship, I feel like I should remember something important. But I can't figure out what." Hyejin sat down beside him. "I've been translating all evening. The story gets stranger and stranger. According to the writing, this ship is just one of thousands scattered across the galaxy. They're all waiting for humans to find them." "Waiting for what purpose?" "To give us back our heritage, our technology, our place as the galaxy's teachers and protectors." She paused, looking at the ship's hull. "But first, we have to prove we're ready for it." "Ready how?" "That part isn't clear yet. But Jinho, there's something else. The ship isn't just a machine. There's someone inside it, someone who's been waiting for millions of years to talk to us." As if responding to her words, new symbols appeared on the hull. These were different from the others, more personal somehow. Hyejin read them aloud. "Hello, children of Earth. I am the guardian of this vessel. I have waited so long to speak with you again. Please, do not be afraid. I have so much to teach you, so much to give you. But first, you must choose whether you trust me enough to come inside." The doorway glowed brighter, as if inviting them to enter. Jin-Ho stood up, drawn by something he couldn't name. "Jin-Ho, wait!" He-Jin called. "We don't know if it's safe." "We don't know if anything is safe." "But Ye-Jin, what if this is real? What if we really are the children this ship has been waiting for?" Commander Kextar's voice cut through the night air. "Dr. Park, step away from that craft immediately." The alien commander was approaching with a squad of security guards, all carrying weapons. Behind them came Dr. Zilnara and Engineer Vordak, both looking worried. "The Galactic Council has made their decision," Kextar announced. "This site is to be secured immediately. No human is allowed near the ship until a full investigation can be completed." "Investigation?" Jin-Ho asked. "This is an archaeological site, not a crime scene. That depends on what we find inside that ship. If it contains weapons or dangerous technology, the Council will decide what to do with it." "And what about what the humans want?" He-Jin asked. "Humans will do as they're told," Kextar replied coldly. "Just as they always have." Jin-Ho felt anger surge through him. These aliens were trying to control access to his own species' heritage. "You can't stop us from learning about our own history." "Watch me." The security guards moved to surround the excavation site, setting up a perimeter that would keep the humans away from the ship. But as they approached the hull, their weapons began to malfunction. Energy cells drained, targeting systems failed, communication devices went dead. "What's happening?" Kextar demanded. Engineer Vordak's crystal body was flashing rapidly as he scanned the area. "Some kind of energy field. It's disrupting all our technology." But Jin-Ho noticed that his simple scanner still worked perfectly. So did Hye-Jin's translation equipment. Only alien technology was failing near the ship. "Maybe the ship doesn't like uninvited guests," Jin-Ho said. New symbols appeared on the hull, bright enough to light up the entire excavation site. Hye-Jin read them quickly, her voice growing more excited with each word. "It says, the children will choose their own path. No other species may decide for them. The time of guardianship is over. The time of awakening has begun." The ship's glow intensified, and more writing appeared. This time, even Jin-Ho could read it clearly. "Come home, children. It's time to remember who you are." Jin-Ho waited until the alien guards were asleep before making his move. The security perimeter was supposed to keep humans away from the ship, but their technology kept failing whenever they got too close. Only human equipment worked properly near the ancient craft. He slipped out of his quarters and walked quietly to the excavation site. The ship glowed softly in the darkness, its symbols pulsing like a slow heartbeat. As he approached the hull, new writing appeared under his feet, lighting his path to the open doorway. The corridor inside was warm and welcoming, nothing like the cold metal of modern spaceships. The walls seemed to be made of living light, soft and organic. As Jin-Ho walked deeper into the ship, he felt like he was returning to a home he had never seen before. The corridor led to a large circular room at the center of the ship. The walls showed moving pictures of stars and planets, all slowly rotating as if he was watching the galaxy turn. In the middle of the room stood a platform with what looked like a control panel covered in symbols that shifted and changed as he watched. "Welcome, child of Earth." Jin-Ho spun around, looking for whoever had spoken. The voice was gentle and female, speaking perfect Korean with an accent that reminded him of his grandmother. "I am Yoon-Jung, guardian of this vessel. I have been waiting for you for such a very long time." A figure began to appear in the air near the control panel. She looked almost human, but made of light instead of flesh. Her clothes seemed to be woven from starlight, and her eyes held the depth of space itself. "You're the ship's computer," Jin-Ho said. "I am much more than that. I am memory and history and hope. I am the keeper of everything your people have forgotten." Yoon-Jung moved closer, and Jin-Ho could feel kindness radiating from her glowing form. "You have questions, and I have answers. But first, you must understand what you truly are." The walls around them changed, showing new pictures. Jinho saw a galaxy full of life, thousands of different species working together. At the center of everything was a people who looked like humans, but taller and more graceful, with eyes that seemed to hold starlight. "The Builders," Yunjung said. "Your ancestors. They created this galactic civilization, teaching younger species how to reach for the stars. For millions of years, they guided and protected all life in the galaxy." The pictures changed, showing darkness spreading across the stars. Planets went quiet. Ships drifted empty through space. The beautiful star people were disappearing, one world at a time. "What killed them?" Jinho asked. "A plague that attacked intelligence itself. It spread through the neural pathways that allowed advanced minds to function. The more intelligent a species became, the more vulnerable they were to the disease." "But not all of them died?" "One group was different. They were younger, less evolved in certain ways, but that made them immune to the plague. They were sent to a distant world to wait until the danger passed." The pictures showed ships leaving a dying planet, carrying refugees to a blue world that Jinho recognized immediately. Earth. They sent them to Earth. Yes. They were supposed to maintain their knowledge and technology while they waited for the plague to burn itself out. Then they would return to rebuild the galaxy. Yunjung's expression grew sad. "But they were so frightened of the disease that they threw away everything that made them advanced. They chose to become simple creatures rather than risk infection. So humans really are descendants of this ancient civilization? You are the last children of the Builders, hidden away so long that even you forgot who you were." Yunjung gestured to the control panel. "This ship, and thousands like it, were left as gifts for when you finally return to space. Technology that works only for builder minds because human minds are builder minds." Jinho approached the control panel cautiously. The symbols on its surface were beautiful and complex, but somehow he could understand what they meant. When he placed his hands on the controls, the entire ship came alive around him. Information flowed into his mind, but it didn't feel overwhelming. It felt like remembering something from childhood. He could see the history of the Builders, their great achievements, their love for all living things. He understood technologies that could heal any disease and sciences that could reshape worlds. "This is incredible," he whispered. "This is your birthright, but with it comes a choice." Yunjung's expression became serious. "The galaxy has new masters now. The species that evolved after the plague see humans as young and weak. If they knew what you could become, some would try to destroy you before you could threaten their power." Jinho lifted his hands from the panel, the knowledge still burning in his mind. "What kind of choice? You could take this ship and flee to the distant stars. Find other humans, awaken them to their true nature, and rebuild the Builder civilization in secret." Yunjung paused. "Or you could stay and trust the new children of the galaxy. Share this knowledge with them and try to build something better than what came before. And if they turn against us, then humanity will face the same extinction that claimed your ancestors. But if they accept you as partners," Yunjung smiled, "then perhaps when the next plague comes, all species will be ready to face it together." The next plague? The disease that destroyed the Builders was not natural. It was created by an intelligence that exists between dimensions, feeding on the collapse of civilizations. It returns every few million years to harvest the galaxy's accumulated knowledge and start the cycle again. Jinho felt a chill of fear. "How long do we have?" "The signs are already beginning. Strange diseases affecting the most advanced AI systems. Unexplained failures in quantum computers. Mental illnesses that target only the most intelligent individuals." Eunjung's eyes were filled with ancient sadness. "Perhaps 1,000 years before it reaches full strength. Maybe less. Then we need to warn everyone. We need to prepare." "Yes." But will they listen to warnings from a species they consider primitive? Will they accept help from humans they see as newcomers to the galaxy? The ship's sensors detected movement outside. Through the walls, Jin-Ho could see the alien security forces gathering around the excavation. They had weapons that could destroy the ship if they chose to use them. "They're going to try to stop me from leaving," he said. "Only if you choose to leave." "But Jin-Ho, there is something else you must know. The awakening process has already begun in your genetic memory. Soon, other humans will start to feel the change. They will remember things they never learned, understand technologies they never studied. The Builder heritage is returning whether you choose it or not. How many others will be affected? Eventually, all of humanity. But it will start with those who are most ready, most open to the truth." Yun-Jung looked sad. "Some will embrace their heritage, others will be frightened by it, and some will try to use it for selfish purposes." "Like what?" "Power, control, revenge against species that have treated humans as inferior." Yun-Jung moved to a wall display that showed other ships scattered across the galaxy. Each ship will present the same choice to the humans who find it. Some will choose wisdom, others will choose conquest. Jin-Ho stared at the star map, seeing hundreds of lights representing the hidden fleet. "So this isn't just about me. It's about what kind of people humans become when they remember who they used to be." "Exactly. Your ancestors faced this same decision 3 million years ago. They chose fear over trust, isolation over cooperation. They survived, but they also condemned the galaxy to millions of years of war and suffering. And now we get to choose again. Yes, but this time you won't be making the choice alone. The galaxy has new children now, species that might be willing to listen and learn, or they might be too afraid of change to accept what you have to offer." Outside the ship, Jin-Ho could hear Commander Kextar shouting orders to his troops. They were preparing to breach the hull and capture or kill anyone inside. "I have to decide now, don't I? The moment you leave this ship, everything changes. Whatever choice you make will echo across the galaxy for millions of years." Yun-Jung smiled gently. "But remember, child of Earth, you are not just choosing for yourself. You are choosing for every human who will ever live, and for every alien species that shares this galaxy with you." Jin-Ho looked at the control panel one more time, feeling the weight of 3 million years of history pressing down on him. Then he placed his hands on the controls and made his choice. Dr. Minjai arrived on the morning transport with a team of human scientists and engineers. As a physicist specializing in quantum mechanics, he had been called in to study the impossible energy readings coming from the ancient ship. But when he saw the excavation site surrounded by alien security forces, he knew this was about more than just science. "What's the situation?" he asked Dr. Hai-Jin, who was standing near their temporary laboratory. "Jin-Ho went into the ship last night. He's been inside for 8 hours, and Commander Kextar is threatening to blast him out if he doesn't come out soon." Min-jae looked at the alien soldiers positioning heavy weapons around the excavation. "They're really going to attack an archaeological site? The Galactic Council has decided the ship represents a potential threat to galactic security. They want it destroyed rather than risk humans gaining access to advanced technology." "But it's a human ship, isn't it? According to the translations?" Hee-Jin nodded grimly. "Which is exactly what scares them. If humans are really descendants of the galaxy's original civilization, it changes everything about the balance of power." Min-jae set up his quantum analysis equipment near the edge of the pit. The readings he got immediately made his eyes widen. "This is impossible. The energy patterns coming from that ship are more complex than anything we've ever seen." "What kind of patterns?" "Quantum entanglement on a galactic scale. It's like this ship is connected to thousands of other objects scattered across the galaxy, all sharing information instantaneously." Min-jae checked his instruments again. "If I didn't know better, I'd say we're looking at a communication network that spans the entire galaxy." Dr. Zilnara approached them, her compound eyes reflecting the morning light. "Dr. Lee, I need to discuss your readings with you. My instruments are detecting similar patterns. I thought alien technology couldn't scan the ship properly. It can't scan the ship itself, but it can detect the effects the ship has on local space-time. The quantum distortions are enormous. Zilnara's mandibles clicked with excitement. If Dr. Park is correct about this being human technology, then humans have inherited capabilities that far exceed our current understanding. Engineer Vordak joined their conversation, his crystal body pulsing with slow, thoughtful patterns. My people have been analyzing the situation. If humans truly are descendants of an ancient galactic civilization, it explains many things we have wondered about. Like what? Hyejin asked. Human adaptability, human creativity, human ability to solve problems that stump more advanced species. Vordak's lights grew brighter. We always assumed these were primitive traits. But what if they are actually signs of a more sophisticated intelligence? Sophisticated how? Minjai was studying his quantum readings while listening to the conversation. Most advanced species specialize. We become very good at specific types of thinking, but we lose flexibility. Humans maintain broad capabilities that we consider childish, but perhaps that flexibility is actually a form of advanced intelligence. Commander, Kekstar's voice interrupted their discussion. All human personnel will withdraw to a safe distance immediately. We are beginning final preparations to breach the ship. You can't do that, Hyejin protested. Jin-Ho is still inside. Dr. Park had 8 hours to exit voluntarily. If he chooses to remain with the ship, he will share its fate. Minjae felt anger surge through him. This is murder, Commander. You're talking about killing a human being because you're afraid of what he might learn. I'm talking about protecting galactic civilization from unknown threats. The only threat here is your fear of humans learning the truth about their heritage. Kekstar's blue skin darkened with anger. Be very careful, Dr. Lee. The Council has authorized extreme measures to contain this situation. Before Minjae could respond, something changed. The air around the ship began to shimmer, and new symbols appeared on the hull. But these were different from before, brighter, more urgent, and visible even to the alien equipment. What's happening? Zilnara asked, running scanners over the new phenomena. The symbols spread across the ship's surface like fire, and then something extraordinary occurred. Similar lights appeared in the sky above them, projected into the air by the ship's systems. The symbols were huge, visible from orbit, broadcasting a message to the entire galaxy. Hyejin read the floating symbols aloud. To all children of the stars, the time of awakening has come. The builders have returned to guide you to a greater future. Approach with open minds and peaceful hearts, and receive the gifts that have waited millions of years to be shared. Gifts? Vordak's crystal body flashed rapidly. What kind of gifts? Before anyone could answer, the ship's hull began to change. Sections that had seemed solid became transparent, revealing the interior. They could see Jin-Ho standing in a vast chamber filled with displays showing star charts and technical information. But he wasn't alone. A figure made of light stood beside him, clearly female and definitely not human, though she looked similar to humans. When she spoke, her voice reached them despite the distance. I am Eun-Jung, guardian of the Builder heritage. Jin-Ho has chosen to share our knowledge with all species willing to learn. But first, you must understand what you are about to receive. The air above the excavation filled with holographic displays showing the history of the galaxy. Everyone, present, human and alien alike, watched in amazement as the story unfolded before them. 3 million years ago, a plague destroyed the galaxy's first great civilization. The Builders, as you call them, were the teachers and protectors of all life. When they realized they were dying, they sent their youngest children to a distant world to wait for the danger to pass. The images showed ships leaving a dying planet and traveling to a blue world orbiting a yellow star. Those children were the ancestors of modern humans. They were supposed to maintain their knowledge and return when it was safe. Instead, they chose to forget everything and live as simple creatures. Min Jai felt his world shifting as he watched the true history of humanity unfold above him. We're not from Earth originally. We're refugees from a galactic catastrophe. But the children are home now, Yunjung continued. And the galaxy faces a new threat. The plague that destroyed the builders was not natural. It was created by entities that exist between dimensions, feeding on the collapse of civilizations. They return every few million years to harvest accumulated knowledge and start the cycle again. Commander Kextar's weapon systems were still aimed at the ship, but his expression had changed from anger to fear. How long before this plague returns? Perhaps 1,000 years, maybe less. The early signs are already appearing in your most advanced computer systems. Yunjung's holographic form turned to address each species present. Alone, no single civilization can survive what is coming. But together, sharing builder knowledge and builder wisdom, all species might find a way to break the cycle. Dr. Zilnara was frantically recording everything, her scientific excitement overcoming her species' natural caution. What kind of knowledge? What can you teach us? Technologies that can cure any disease. Sciences that can reshape matter at the atomic level. Understanding of dimensional physics that can allow travel between galaxies. Eunjung paused. But more important than technology is wisdom. The builders learned that power without compassion leads to destruction. Knowledge without love leads to catastrophe. Engineer Vordak stepped forward, his crystal body pulsing with what Minjai now recognized as hope. What do you ask in return for this knowledge? Nothing but an open mind and a commitment to use what you learn to help all life flourish. The builder ships will share their gifts freely with any species that approaches with peaceful intent. And if we refuse, Kextar asked, then you refuse. The choice is always yours to make. But remember, the plague is coming whether you prepare for it or not. The question is whether you will face it alone or together. Minjai looked around at the assembled group, humans and aliens standing together, all staring at the same incredible revelation. For the first time since arriving at the dig site, he felt hope instead of fear. So what happens now? He asked. Jinho's voice carried from inside the ship, clear and strong. Now we choose. Do we trust each other enough to work together? Or do we let fear decide our future for us? The answer, Minjai realized, would determine the fate of every living thing in the galaxy. The holographic message that Guardian Yunjung had broadcast reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. On thousands of worlds, aliens looked up at their skies and saw the impossible symbols floating in the air, promising knowledge beyond their wildest dreams. Some responded with wonder. Others reacted with fear and anger. Commander Kextar received the first reports through his communication system. Sir, we're getting responses from across the galaxy. 3 species have declared the human claims to be lies and are mobilizing military forces. 5 others are demanding immediate access to builder technology. And he paused, his blue skin pale with shock. And 7 species are requesting permission to send diplomatic missions to open peaceful negotiations. Dr. Minjai watched the alien commander struggle with this information. Everything the galaxy thought it knew about humans had just been turned upside down. What are your orders from the Council? The Council is in emergency session. They're arguing about whether to destroy this site or study it. Kextar looked at the ship, where Jinho was still visible through the transparent hull. Some want to capture human genetic samples to understand how builder technology recognizes you. Others want to form an alliance before humans become too powerful to control. And what do you want? Dr. Hyojin asked. Kextar was quiet for a long moment. I want to understand why my weapons won't fire when I aim them at the ship. Every time I try to give the order to attack, my equipment shuts down. Engineer Vordak's crystal body pulsed with understanding. The ship is protecting itself, but not with shields or armor. It's using something much more sophisticated. What do you mean? Minjai asked. It's reading our intentions. The technology can sense hostile thoughts and neutralizes them before they can be acted upon. Vordak moved closer to the excavation, his lights growing brighter. This is beyond anything we imagined possible. Dr. Zilnara was still frantically scanning everything in sight. My instruments are detecting similar effects around the other 3 ships. They're all active now, all broadcasting the same message in different languages. The galaxy is going to change whether we want it to or not. Inside the ship, Jinho continued his conversation with Guardian Eunjung. Through the transparent hull, they could see him learning about technologies that could revolutionize every aspect of galactic civilization, but he didn't look happy about what he was discovering. "What's wrong?" Hae Jin called out. Jinho's voice carried clearly from inside the ship. "Eunjung is showing me what happened to the other human teams, the ones at the other ships." The Guardian's holographic form appeared outside the ship again, her expression sad. "Not all humans are making the same choice Jinho has made. Some are taking the knowledge and using it for selfish purposes." "What kind of selfish purposes?" Kekstar demanded. "Power, revenge, control over other species." Eunjung gestured, and new holographic displays appeared showing events happening across the galaxy. The human at the Proxima 7 site has claimed the ship as his personal property and is threatening to use builder weapons against anyone who approaches. The team near Vega is trying to sell builder technology to the highest bidder. Only the group at Kepler 283c is following Jinho's example of cooperation. Minjae felt sick. "So we're proving that humans can't be trusted with this power." "Some humans, but not all. And the same is true of every species. Some aliens are responding to our message with wisdom and curiosity. Others are already planning wars to capture builder ships for themselves." Commander Kekstar's communication system crackled with another urgent message. After listening, his expression grew even more troubled. "The hegemony fleet is moving toward the Proxima 7 site. They're planning to destroy the ship and everyone near it rather than allow humans to keep builder technology." "Can they do that?" Hae Jin asked. "If the ship's protective systems only work against direct attacks?" "Yes. The hegemony has planet-killing weapons. They could destroy the entire world from a safe distance." Guardian Eunjung's holographic form flickered with what looked like pain. "The ships were never designed to defend against such extreme violence. They were built by a people who believed in cooperation and wisdom." "Then we need to stop them," Jinho said, his voice carrying from inside the ship. "How?" Minjai asked. "We don't have any weapons that could match a hegemony fleet." "We don't need weapons. We need something much more powerful." Jinho placed his hands on the ship's control panel again. "Eunjung, show them what the builder ships can really do when they work together." The Guardian nodded, and suddenly every display around the excavation site lit up with new information. They could see all 4 builder ships simultaneously, along with data streams connecting them in a vast network. When the ships work in harmony, they become something much greater than the sum of their parts, Eunjung explained. They can share power, knowledge, and even consciousness across galactic distances. They can also defend each other. "What does that mean?" Vordak asked, his crystal body flashing with excitement. "Watch!" The displays showed the hegemony fleet approaching Proxima 7, their weapons charging for a planet-destroying attack. But just as they fired, something impossible happened. The energy beams were redirected by invisible forces, missing their target completely and harmlessly dissipating in empty space. "The ships are connected through quantum entanglement," Minjai realized. "They can share defensive capabilities across any distance." "But there's a cost," Eunjung said sadly. "To maintain this level of cooperation, all 4 ships must be operated. by humans who trust each other completely. If even one chooses selfishness over wisdom, the network fails. As if to prove her point, the displays showed the ship at Proxima 7 going dark. The human there had tried to use the ship's weapons against the hegemony fleet, but the act of choosing violence had severed his connection to the builder network. "He's alone now," Jin-Ho said quietly. "And the hegemony fleet is moving in for another attack." "Can we reconnect with him?" Hyojin asked. "Only if he chooses to trust us instead of trying to fight alone." Eunjung looked at each person present. "This is the test the builders faced 3 million years ago. When threatened, do you choose cooperation or isolation? Do you trust others or rely only on yourself?" Commander Kex-Tar was receiving more reports, his expression growing more worried with each message. "The situation is escalating rapidly. Half the galaxy is mobilizing military forces. The other half is sending diplomatic missions. Everyone wants access to builder technology, and they're willing to fight for it. Then we need to make a choice quickly," Jin-Ho said. He stepped out of the ship for the first time since entering it, and Minjai was surprised to see that he looked different somehow. Not physically, but in the way he carried himself. More confident, more aware. "What kind of choice?" Dr. Zilnara asked. "We can try to keep the builder ship secret and hope the crisis passes. Or we can reveal everything and trust the galaxy to make wise choices." Jin-Ho looked at each person present, human and alien alike. "Guardian Eunjung has shown me what's at stake. The plague that destroyed the builders is already beginning to return. Strange diseases are affecting AI systems across the galaxy. Quantum computers are failing for no apparent reason. We have maybe 1,000 years before it reaches full strength." "And if we share the builder knowledge?" Kex-Tar asked. "Then we might find a way to stop it. Together." Jin-Ho smiled sadly. "But only if we can learn to trust each other. The plague feeds on fear and isolation. It grows stronger when civilizations turn against each other." Minjae understood what Jin-Ho was really asking. "You want us to bet the survival of every species in the galaxy on the hope that we can all learn to work together. I want us to bet on the possibility that we're better than our fears, that when faced with extinction, intelligent beings will choose wisdom over stupidity." Guardian Eunjung appeared beside Jin-Ho, her expression hopeful for the first time since the crisis began. "The choice is not Jin-Ho's alone to make. Every person here represents their species. Every decision you make will influence how your people respond to what's coming." Vordak stepped forward, his crystal body pulsing with determined patterns. "The Lithian Collective chooses cooperation. We will support sharing builder knowledge with all peaceful species." Dr. Zilnara clicked her mandibles nervously. "The Zephyrian Science Council will need time to debate, but I personally believe the benefits outweigh the risks." All eyes turned to Commander Kex-Tar. The alien commander looked at the ship, at the humans, at his fellow aliens, and finally at the star-filled sky where fleets were gathering for a war that could destroy everything. "The hegemony will never accept human superiority," he said finally. "But perhaps they could accept human partnership." 3 days later, representatives from 47 different species had gathered at the excavation site. Some came in massive warships, others in simple diplomatic vessels. A few arrived alone, traveling in personal craft that looked more like works of art than military vehicles. The dead planet that had been home to only archaeologists now hosted the largest gathering of alien species in galactic history. Jin-Ho stood on a platform that had risen from the builder ship, addressing the assembled delegates. Dr. Hyojin and Dr. Minjae flanked him, along with Guardian Eunjung's holographic form. The translator systems worked overtime to convert his words into dozens of different languages. 3 days ago, most of you had never heard of the builders, Jin-Ho began. Today you're here because you understand that everything we thought we knew about the galaxy was wrong. In the audience, Commander Kex-Tar sat with delegates from 12 different military organizations. Some looked angry, others curious. All of them were heavily armed. Near the front, Engineer Vordak represented a coalition of peaceful species that had formed in response to the crisis. Dr. Zilnara was recording everything for the galactic scientific community. The builder ships have been awakening across the galaxy for the past 72 hours, Jinho continued. Each one offers the same choice: share knowledge freely with all species or face the coming plague alone. A delegate from the hegemony stood up, his reptilian features twisted with suspicion. You speak of plagues and ancient threats, but what proof do we have? How do we know this isn't an elaborate human trick to gain power? Guardian Eunjung stepped forward, her translucent form shimmering in the artificial light. You want proof? Look at your own computer systems. Check the failure rates of your most advanced AI networks. Examine the quantum decay patterns in your finest instruments. The delegate activated a handheld device, then stared at the readings with growing alarm. Similar reactions rippled through the crowd as other delegates checked their own equipment. Plague has already begun, Yunjung said sadly. It starts slowly, attacking the most sophisticated systems first. Within a few generations, it will affect biological intelligence as well. No species will be immune except humans, and even they will suffer if they develop too far beyond their current level. Dr. Minjae activated a holographic display showing quantum analysis data. We've been tracking the anomalies for months without understanding what they meant. System failures, computational errors, strange diseases affecting only the smartest individuals in each species. It's all connected. But the builder ships offer protection, Hyojin added. Their technology operates on principles that the plague cannot affect. More importantly, they can teach us how to modify our existing systems to resist the infection. A delegate from the Crystal Confederacy, her body similar to Vordak's but larger and more complex, raised a light pattern question. What do you want from us in return for this protection? Nothing, Jinho replied. The builders learned that knowledge shared freely grows stronger. Knowledge hoarded for selfish gain becomes corrupted and weak. That's not possible, the hegemony delegate snarled. No one gives away power without expecting something in return. Which is exactly why the plague succeeds, Guardian Eunjung said gently. It feeds on greed, fear, and mistrust. The more a civilization tries to hoard its advantages, the more vulnerable it becomes to corruption. Jinho gestured to the builder ship behind him. The ships will share their knowledge with any species that approaches with peaceful intentions. But they won't provide weapons. They won't help anyone conquer or control others. They only teach technologies that help life flourish. What if we refuse? Asked a delegate whose species Jinho didn't recognize. She looked like a walking plant, with bark like skin and leaves instead of hair. Then you refuse. The choice is always yours. Jinho's voice was sad but firm. But understand what you're choosing. Without builder protection, your civilization will fall to the plague just like the original builders did. Your knowledge will be harvested, your culture will be destroyed, and your people will be reduced to primitive survivors. The plant-like. Delegate rustled her leaves thoughtfully. And if we accept? What guarantee do we have that humans won't use this advantage to dominate the galaxy? Dr. Minjae answered. Because the technology won't work that way. We've been studying the builder systems for 3 days now. The more we try to use them for selfish purposes, the less responsive they become. They literally refuse to function for anyone whose intentions aren't pure. That's impossible, the hegemony delegate protested. Try it yourself, He Jin challenged. Approach the ship with thoughts of conquest or domination. See what happens. The reptilian delegate actually took a few steps toward the builder vessel, his expression hostile and greedy. The moment he got within 50 meters, every piece of technology he carried shut down. His weapons stopped working. His communication devices went dead. Even his life support systems began to fail. He backed away quickly, and his equipment started working again. The demonstration was more effective than any words could have been. The ships read intentions. Guardian Yunjung explained. They were created by beings who valued wisdom above cleverness, compassion above strength. They respond only to minds that share those values. Engineer Vordak pulsed with approval. This explains why human technology continues to function normally, near the ships while ours fails. Human minds naturally think in ways that the builders considered healthy. Some human minds, Jinho corrected. We've had problems too. The human team at Proxima 7 lost access to their ship when they tried to use it as a weapon. The ones near Vega were shut out when they tried to sell builder technology for personal profit. A new voice spoke from the back of the gathering. What about the fourth team? Everyone turned to see a woman walking through the crowd. She looked human, but her clothes were clearly alien in design. Behind her came a mixed group of aliens and humans, all working together as equals. I'm Dr. Sojin from the Kepler 283C site, she announced. My team chose cooperation from the beginning. We've been working with local alien scientists for the past 3 days, sharing builder knowledge freely with anyone who wants to learn. And? Prompted the hegemony delegate. And we've already developed cures for 17 different diseases, solved 3 major engineering problems that have puzzled the galaxy for centuries, and established the foundation for a communication network that will connect every willing species instantaneously. Excited murmurs ran through the crowd. Dr. Zilnara's mandibles clicked rapidly as she processed this information. But more importantly, Sojin continued, we've proven that cooperation works. When species share knowledge instead of hoarding it, everyone benefits. The builder ships respond to that kind of thinking by becoming even more generous with their gifts. Guardian Yunjung smiled with what looked like pride. This is what the original builders hoped for. Not human dominance, but human leadership, in building a truly cooperative galactic civilization. And if this plague really is coming, asked the plant-like delegate, then we face it together, with the combined knowledge of all species plus builder wisdom, Jinho replied. Alone, any one civilization might fall. Together, we might finally break the cycle. The debate continued for hours, with delegates arguing about trust, risk, and the wisdom of accepting help from a species they had always considered primitive. But gradually, consensus began to emerge. The first to formally accept was Engineer Vordak's coalition of peaceful species. Then Dr. Zilnara announced that the Zephyrian Science Council had voted to join the cooperation network. One by one, other species followed. Not all of them. The hegemony and several other military powers withdrew, declaring their intention to find their own solutions to the plague threat. A few species simply left without making any declaration at all. But when the final count was taken, 31 different civilizations had agreed to share knowledge freely and work together to prepare for the coming crisis. It's not everyone, Jinho said to Guardian Eunjung as they watched the mixed fleet of ships departing the planet. It's enough, she replied. The builders started with less. What matters is not how many choose wisdom, but how committed they are to sharing it. Dr. Hyojin joined them, carrying a tablet full of translation work. The ships are already beginning to teach us. The amount of knowledge available is incredible. Medical techniques, engineering solutions, scientific theories that will take us generations to fully understand. But we'll have help understanding them, Minjai added, approaching with several alien colleagues. Dr. Zilnara has some fascinating insights into builder quantum mechanics. Engineer Vordak's people can manufacture materials we've never even dreamed of. Working together, we can accomplish things that no single species could manage alone. Jinho looked up at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, the entity that had destroyed the builders was stirring again. It would return, as it always did, to harvest the galaxy's accumulated knowledge and reduce proud civilizations to primitive survivors. But this time, the galaxy would be ready. Not because one species had grown powerful enough to resist, but because dozens of species had grown wise enough to cooperate. The builders had returned to the galaxy not as conquerors,